Hey, Casey here. Some days it feels like I'm starting over. Does it ever feel like that for you? Like you've done a ton of work and you feel like you're making progress along the path, and you wake up one day and you're like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? What does it all mean? You ever feel like that? I periodically I wake up feeling like that, and I know it's short-lived, or maybe it's time to pivot, or I've gotten to a plateau and it's time to make some radical changes. A YouTuber that I follow, she talks about taking massive, mediocre action. I feel that, like, you just need to take action and continue to move forward. So if that's you, and you're feeling today that it's like you're starting over, or you haven't made much progress, just look at where you've been. Look at all the work that you've done on yourself. These changes are difficult. And if you have been working on yourself, kudos to you, because most people don't. Most people just go through life and say that it is how it is. And you're actually making strides internally, which will pay big dividends externally. So I'm proud of you for that. It's all an evolution. It's an inward evolution and an outward evolution. And there's evolution happening on an infinite number of levels. The truth is, it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you're at peace and you're feeling love in your heart. It doesn't really matter how much you achieve, where you get to, how much money you have, how many things you get. What's truly important is that you keep your relationships right. Number one, with yourself. You're taking care of yourself, you're feeding yourself good food, moving the body, taking care of the mind. It doesn't have to look perfect. We're just 1% better each day. We're just working on what we can work on. If you've made it this far into the video, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. Because if you weren't resonating with this, you would have turned off the video. What is your struggle? Where are you at on your journey? You know what keeps me sane and at peace is the journey is the destination. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to get to. I'm creating a course for my online community, Reality by Design. The first course is based off The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, the book. And the first chapter is I am. And that's what you are. You are. If you just say I am, your attention goes back here to like your heart region. I am. Because I exist. And that's all I really need to do. I am is the foundation of being. What are you? You're a human being. Not a human doing. You're a human being. We are. We exist. I am that I am. This phrase is shown throughout the ancient texts of I am. It's the foundation of life. It's the foundation of our consciousness. How can anything exist outside of consciousness? If you're conscious of this virtual reality that we live in, this matrix, this experience of life, if you're conscious of it, how can anything live outside of that? You know what I'm saying? If something was outside of your awareness, you wouldn't be aware of it. Therefore, it could not be outside of your awareness, and it does not exist. So, with that foundation, consciousness is all there is. Awareness is all there is. I am is all there is. Everything exists in I am. Now you can say who you are, like I am tall, I am an IT guy, I am rich, I am poor, I am ugly, I am amazingly handsome. You can identify yourself with any number of different ways to identify yourself. And anything in this world is identified with that. If Neville in his first chapter says, if a tree could articulate words, it would say, I am a tall tree. I am a fruitful tree. I am an apple tree. These are identifications of the same I am. We are all one, and that I am is consciousness. So using that as a foundation for life gives us a lot of freedom, because we can just pull back all the identification with everything that you are. I am stressed. I am sick. I am fill in the blank. You can pull back from all those identifications and just rest in I am. And just be. And just be. It's you against you. It's me against myself on a daily basis. I try not to battle myself anymore. You know, I try to go with the flow. I try to listen to my body. Sometimes my mind is like, you need to go, 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 go. You need to get. You need to strive. You need to achieve. You need to show up. All these expectations, and my body's like, you need to rest. You need to take a break. You need to take a nap because you're grumpy. That's what I did right before this. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, because what would be the point if I wasn't authentic and honest with you guys? I've been having blocks with shooting videos because I'm too up here about it. Oh, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. It's got to be the right message, you know, or it's not going to land. And that's just driving me bonkers, you know. Here's where I've come from. Complete and utter misery, disaster of a life. And I learned a lot of things coming out of that hole of darkness. And that's what I want to share with people. You know, because I see people struggling. I see people with mental illness, with skin issues, with anxiety, depression, you know, and just a little mindset change, just a little bit of coaching, just a little perspective change can pull them right out of that, can have them crying tears of joy. Because there's really no reason to be tormented by your mind, because that's really what we are. We get tormented by our mind. We get tormented by these thoughts. These thoughts that we're not enough, that we're not doing the right things, that we're not making the right moves, that we don't have that we're ugly, that we're poor, we're not smart enough, etc., etc. That things are never going to change. This catastrophizing, the mind gets ill, you know, and you can spin up good thoughts. The positive thoughts start adding up. And then when you can get down into meditation, you can literally just see these thoughts happening in slow motion. You'll see the judgment happening. And then you have the power of will. You are the I am, remember? You're deeper than your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts. You're actually an observer of all your senses. See, smell, taste, touch, hearing, then thoughts, your sixth sense, your third eye. You can see and create thoughts. But your mind can also start creating thoughts that you don't want to think. I'm sure you've thought a thought that you don't want to think. And you look at it and you're like, why am I even thinking that? Because the mind can get away from us. But when we use meditation and we kind of spin down the mind and it starts to become more still, and what we notice when it starts getting spun up or starts creating all this stories about your boss, your ex-lover, your kids, your stress, then we can just pause, push the pause button on that mind, sit down, take a few deep breaths, bring our attention down into the body. Because when our attention is in the body, we're not in the mind. We don't have to live from the neck up all day, Anyways, getting back to helping people get out of their misery. That's why I'm here. I had to go through the deepest, darkest, on the brink of death many times kind of experience to get this knowledge, and on the way up, I had to learn all these different things about boundaries, about self-care, about how to love myself, why am I so lonely? Why do I need their approval? Asking myself these questions, thousands of pages of journaling, documenting my journey out of that darkness. And then, started to create groups locally in community, helping people with these different frameworks, giving people different perspectives on, you're causing your own suffering. I know some people don't want to hear that, but I want to hear that. I want to hear, I'm causing my own suffering? No, that is causing my suffering, but I have an open mind and I'll listen. And then I realize I am causing my own suffering. The more I think about X, Y, or Z in a negative light, the worse I suffer. The bigger expectations I have on myself, or expecting myself to be out here when I'm actually here, I suffer. I have the river of suffering between my expected person I should be and who I actually am right now. So that's what the frameworks and the teachings that I am incorporating into the community are for, so that you can work through those things and we can get them out on paper. And not only using the mind to cure the mind, because that's makes it a little tougher, using the body to cure the mind as well. Because movement, somatic movement and breath work is crucial to healing the mind, to getting out of those repetitive thoughts, to get out of ruminating thoughts, to get out of anxiety, depression. I appreciate you listening to me this far. Leave a comment below if there's something specific that you're struggling with, or something that is super awesome in your life. Tell me where you're from. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. I love you.